Hey y'all, and welcome to the Max Life. So this is not really typical farm family video. This is kind of more of a share personal experience video, but I wanted to put this out there because I know homeschooling is becoming more and more popular, and it has to do mainly with homeschooling and some of the issues that I feel like homeschoolers face, especially when you get into those high school years. So I want to talk about a problem that we've dealt with and kind of how we were able to get that resolved, because I know some of you may be new to homeschooling, or some of you may not have graduated as senior out yet, so you might not have faced some of the same thing that I went through. There are many challenges obviously with homeschooling, and it is always well worth it, but I do want to address our personal experience and how we were able to deal with this right now. So most of you guys have watched our vlogs for many years now. You've seen that back in May, Aiden participated in our homeschool graduation ceremony. Now Aiden has been working really hard trying to get his, since last summer, he did summer school. He's been working really hard to try to get all his studies in. So I made him do summer school last year. He did multiple junior classes, and then the first semester of his last year under me, he did his last, the fall semester, he did his last junior classes. Then we jumped into senior stuff that spring semester. And I still have him doing a couple of things through the summer, just because I want to make him the best student that he can be, right? So I do have him with a retired English 1 teacher who is just giving him some assignments and some pointers, and I'm really kind of hands off there. He does have to go under me. He does have to go through business accounting or business mathematics to just prepare him for future financing. So he is in that, which is, he's just kind of working on his own, and this is really just to prepare him. He also, like I said, I do have him doing some extra assignments this summer, just because I want him to be the best student that he can be. So Aiden's already taken the ACT, and he received his diploma from me back in May. And he applied to a college actually that was not in Mississippi. He is going into a specific program in Tennessee. They offer online classes so that Aiden can work full-time and also do his schooling. So we have gone over the website multiple times. I feel like I know more of the school laws than probably I should, but I really, since I want to say the summer when he started his junior classes and knew for sure what he wanted to do, I began to actually know somebody else that Aiden's going to be working with that goes to this school. So we kind of already knew a little bit about the school. So in order to get Aiden ready for college, I glanced over all of their scheduled classes and really built his entire last year preparing him for college. All the classes that he'll be required to take, I really gave him subjects that would help him in college, so he can be studying now, have base knowledge now. I mean, you know what you would do in high school, right? You build your transcript kind of based on what you're looking at towards college. So if you want to go into CPA, it's probably best you take as many maths as you can in high school, right, to get you ready for that. So I've been looking at this college for a long time, and Aiden meets all the requirements. He did really well on his ACT. I only made him take it 2 times because this school does not offer, it's a private online college in another state, and they do not offer academic programs. So it didn't matter if Aiden would have made a 30 on the ACT, we would have not seen any benefits from that. So he took it his 9th grade year and his 10th grade year and made well above their base requirement, which was an 18. He made multiple points higher than that. And like I said, if I would have, this was before he took Algebra 2, so he took it in 10th grade. I didn't even make him take it his junior or senior year, because in that year from summer to summer, I didn't make him take it any, because it was not going to benefit us at all for him to get a super high score, right? And the only other scholarships that this college offers is for Tennessee residents, and we're not a Tennessee resident. So, which all of that is perfectly fine. But here is where we ran into major issues being a homeschooler. So I feel like most schools have dealt with homeschoolers before, or I honestly don't know what the issue was. But the director of admissions called me several weeks ago and was basically voicing her concern over Aiden's diploma because it was parent provided and not through an actual school, so she says. And it was not officially given to him by the state. So she had a major issue with that. And in her tone and her choice of words that she used with me, I could tell that she was very skeptical of homeschoolers. And I suppose there are some that abuse the system and don't really educate their children very well. But the same could be said for public school systems. There are public school systems that are like under supervision and probation and all of that because their kids aren't learning what they're supposed to be learning. So it's a battleground, and I understand that, but I'm going to be the one paying for Aiden's school. I take full responsibility of all of his education and everything that he's been taught. And I know that's a little bit of a tough issue, but here in the state of Mississippi, a parent-issued diploma weighs the same as any public school or private school. So even though Aiden was not ever in an accredited program in our home, the diploma that I give him still stands the same as any other school would issue a child a diploma. And basically this school was not wanting to acknowledge his diploma. In a nutshell, she was asking me, like, do students in Mississippi have to take entrance tests to get into college? And no, they're accepted just like any other kid that has to take the ACT, and the ACT is the state testing that examines kind of where they're at. Well, Aiden did really well on the ACT, so that should have answered a lot of her questions right there about her concerns of how Aiden is learning. So I'm not going to get too much in a rant on that. I just wanted to say that she was really demeaning in the fact of homeschoolers are not educated like public and private school kids are, which is completely not true. So for her to have that stereotype against us was very frustrating. And I personally know children, actually we're friends with a family whose 4th out of 5, their 4th, just graduated from Liberty University with his law degree and is doing very well in Virginia. And he's never stepped foot in a classroom ever. So that just goes to show you that, and one of his brothers, if I'm not mistaken, one of his older brothers made perfect on the ACT. So that just goes to show you that you can kick all of that out. I understand that some people abuse it, but that's not the case for everybody, and I want my son to go to college and do well for his future. And college doesn't mean you're going to do well or not. I totally get that. However, in Aiden's position, having some college and some licensures and degree there will help him in our state. So that's kind of what we're going for. So for the school they didn't want to acknowledge the diploma because it was issued by me. That was kind of the bottom line. So I really at first didn't know what to do because this is my first child going out. You know, we've always homeschooled. We've always followed the rules. I have all of Aiden's work from the time he was 4 years old. It's up in my attic in a container. Every one of his books has his name on it because you're supposed to keep up with your books, your work that your children have done over the years. So I've done all that. I've always done what I was supposed to do. So for her not to want to acknowledge our diploma was very, very frustrating. I called some of the moms that have already graduated their kids out, briefly text the one that I mentioned whose child is graduated law school from Liberty University. Briefly texted her, called some of the other moms and asked them. I was like, I don't know what to do. And thankfully, y'all, here's where the rubber meets the road. Thankfully, we have been part of HSLDA since Aiden was 4. So, but we've never needed them, so I didn't even think about them. HSLDA is a Homeschool Legal Defense Association that is an organization or association that functions in our nation, and you can apply to that basically for them to have your back. So there is a set of legal defense attorneys that will address certain issues that you have related to homeschooling per your state's law. So you, like, if you live in a state where the law is jacked up on homeschooling, you might just want to move. But here in Mississippi, we have pretty lax laws about homeschooling. As long as I register them with our attendance officer and keep up with my children's work and their grades, which we do, it is not like our school laws are pretty lax here in Mississippi. I know in other states there's like required testing, and Mississippi doesn't do that here. When your child is done with school and they get ready to go to college, they proceed just like every other school student. They take the ACT, they have to submit their ACT scores to the school along with their diploma, you know, license, all that other jazz, letters of recommendation, whatever your school looks like. So they're treated like other public and private school kids. You know, you just have to meet the requirements for acceptance, and then that's that. So for this to be such an issue, I will say that I was very, very irritated, especially that I have worked so hard to prepare Aiden for this day, for him to be able to go to college and do well and succeed in life, because that's what I want for him, and for him to be an obedient student, well-rounded student. I won't say he's a rocket scientist, obviously, but he's worked really hard and studied and put in the time and done all the things. So for her to question that really ruffled my feathers some. But I will say this, I went ahead and put a call into HSLDA because that's what the moms suggested that I do. Put a call into them. I explained to them what was going on. Basically, this school was refusing to acknowledge Aiden's diploma, and they want him to take the GED, which is completely insane that they want him to get another diploma just to be accepted into their school when he already has a diploma. And I felt like they were putting extra stipulations on him just because he was a homeschooler. So I called them and kind of explained to them what was going on. Look, Aiden's already finished his school. He has a diploma, and they're telling me that they're not going to accept him or his diploma just because he was homeschooled, and they want him to take the GED instead. So really, really, really sweet, really compassionate and concerned and nice, just all of the things. I was so very happy with them. The lady guided me. She was very kind, and they took care of it. So basically that's all it took, is I needed the school to tell me why they wouldn't accept Aiden. So I sent that to HSLDA, and HSLDA, the lawyers took a look at it. They submitted a letter through email and a hard letter back to the school, and basically explained to them that, like, the law says homeschoolers diplomas are the same as public and private schools. So, like, there shouldn't be any discrimination. They also went on to list multiple colleges that accept homeschool children's diplomas, including Yale, Harvard. Y'all, it was like a big list of them. And they also said, hey, if you have any problems, here's our number. You can give us a call. We'll be sure to help you in shedding light on the law. So I was very, very thankful for that. I hate that I had to even go through all of that, but HSLDA was a huge took a huge burden off of us, which I was very thankful for. So I said all of that and shared all of our experience with y'all. And even if you don't homeschool or you know somebody that does, please share this video with them, because I wish I would have known some of the things going into dealing with Aiden applying to college and all of that I know now. So if you're not part, number one, if you're not part of HSLDA and you homeschool and you do all the things the right way, you really, really need to look into them. They are there to protect homeschooling families, and according to each state's laws. And if the state or anybody else tries to step on your toes or bend the law or whatever that looks like, they are there to say, hey, you can't do that to this homeschooling family because the law says this. So I was really, really thankful for that. So number one, if you are not part of HSLDA, I highly suggest you look into it, okay? I said it multiple times because I feel like it's very, very important. And also, if you're a homeschooling family or you're contemplating homeschooling and you're like, I'm just not real sure about it, y'all, there's nothing that I would take back about homeschooling and being able to train and raise my own children and monitor the things that they see and hear, whether it's being taught in the public school or just what they're exposed to in the environment. Our personal choice was to expose our children to worldly things when they're ready. And in my opinion, a 5-year-old is not ready for what they see and hear nowadays. But each parent to their own, and you know, some deal with that a little bit better. That was just our personal choice, as well as knowing that there's safety within our home, and there are just certain things we didn't have to worry about. And it was it's just a beautiful blessing to be able to take my kids and sit down with them, teach them all of the things, watch those little light bulbs go off in their head where they're like, oh, I get it now. It's just really special moments. Sure, there are struggles. Sure, there are days where I question myself, but it is worth it. It is worth it, worth it, worth it. And if you feel the calling, it's not something I would just jump into just because, well, my kid's getting bullied at school, I'm gonna pull them out of school. If you're not being called to homeschool your child, you're in for a rude awakening. I'm just here to tell you. We felt the calling when Aiden was about 3, and I began, initially I was like, I would never homeschool my kids, but like I don't know what else to do. So we began praying about it. I began meeting with some of the homeschool families that I had to call and meeting them and getting to know them, and I thought, wow, this is awesome. So I quit my full-time nursing job, or actually I went part-time PRN, so that I could come home and raise and train my children. And it was worth it, worth it, worth it. I looked at it as a sacrifice back then. I do not see it as a sacrifice right now. I see it as a blessing. So if you're contemplating homeschooling, sure, weigh your pros and cons. But if you're not called to do it, I really think you need to think hard through that, because it is a calling. You're not going to have rainbows and butterfly days. I'm just sorry, you're not. There are going to be days where it's going to be hard because you don't want to do school, or your kid doesn't want to do school, or it's not clicking with them and you don't understand why they can't learn 2 + 2 is 4. And you're going to have days where it just is hard. And then you're going to have those days where you're like, I am so glad I am able to be home and raise my children and watch them grow and don't miss the things and protect them and train them and expose them when they're ready. So those are just a couple of thoughts for today. So sorry the video was long. I did just want to share my personal experience, because I feel like if you are homeschooling or thinking about homeschooling, you do need to know some of the challenges that homeschoolers face. And apparently colleges not wanting to accept the diplomas is an issue. I will say around here, most of our colleges, I talked to lots of moms who said, I cannot believe you're even having an issue. Like that's not an issue. Like it shouldn't even be an issue. But I was like, yeah, well, obviously it is here. So we kind of already fought that battle. I am thankful for HSLDA. And if you're a homeschooler and you're not a part of HSLDA, you really need to look into it. Guys, until next time, thank you. God bless and happy homesteading, y'all.